9/11-style terrorist attack provided compelling and depressing evidence that terrorist groups had succeeded beyond their wildest imaginations in transforming American society. It is not just armed jihadists that scare Americans. A 2012 poll showed that 6 out of 7 Americans agree that the United States faces greater threats to its security today than it did during the Cold War, a time when the United States found itself in the crosshairs of approximately 10,000 nuclear weapons, each with a destructive power up to 50 times that of the nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. How Americans, such as this woman from a small town in the live free or die state, became convinced that the United States faces such acute and harmful foreign threats is, at its core, the story of this book. The American public is being fed, by politicians and pundits alike, a steady diet of threat inflation that has made them deeply fearful of the world outside their borders. They have become convinced that overseas menaces are perpetually becoming more likely, lethal, and complex. The world is forever on fire. America is always getting weaker, and its citizens are facing a constant drumbeat of tremendous and unceasing risks. The pervasiveness of threat inflation is such conventional wisdom that alternative or even less threatening descriptions of the world are largely non-existent in foreign policy debates. As a result, most Americans are simply unaware of the extraordinary and unprecedented political, economic, and social progress that has taken place in virtually every corner of the globe over the past 3 decades. On that January day in New Hampshire, while alluding to the national debate on the balance between security and privacy, Christie declared ominously, "You can't protect civil liberties from a coffin." Pittsfield voters who had watched the most recently aired Republican presidential debate would have heard former Florida Governor Jeb Bush tell them that the Islamic State had formed a caliphate the size of Indiana, with 30,000 to 40,000 battle-tested soldiers that are organized to destroy our way of life. They would have heard candidate and former pediatric neurosurgeon Ben Carson claim that dirty bombs and cyber attacks are, in fact, an existential threat to us. Those following the Republican primaries would have heard Donald Trump, the eventual Republican nominee and President of the United States, tell them that the only way to keep America safe was to ban all Muslims from entering the country, torture suspected terrorists, and murder their families. As regular consumers of news, Republican voters might have heard South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tell Americans the world is literally about to blow up in January 2014. Spoiler, it did not. They might have caught Senator John McCain, who, having been born in 1936 and lived through conflicts that killed an estimated 60 million people and had fought in one of those wars, say in 2015, "We are probably in the most serious period of turmoil in our lifetime." Perhaps in the spring of 2017, they caught Secretary for Homeland Security John Kelly claiming, "Make no mistake, we are a nation under attack, and we are under attack every single day. The threats are relentless." Or, in the summer of 2018, they might have heard his boss, President Trump, warn that people coming in from the Middle East would come across the border by using children to get through the lines. This incessant, default threat-mongering is neither a partisan issue nor a habit reserved for elected officials. Those Americans tuning in to CNN in October 2014 might have the chyron asking the hypothetical question, Ebola, the ISIS of biological agents? Maybe they saw local reporting on Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel saying, "Cyber threats are just as real and deadly and lethal as anything we've ever dealt with." Or New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand calling Iran an existential threat to America. Or perhaps Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton warning that the Islamic State, in coordination with Mexican drug cartels, could infiltrate the border.